House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
I'm in a good mood today, which means I want to talk about real estate, and there's only so much I know, and that's why I bring in the very best, Liz and Gina, both on island, the rare occasion. And so we are here. So, ladies, thank you so much. And first of all, please get me up to speed on that wonderful presentation that our friends at Gura gave you last week about that homeowner program that we really want people to consider and possibly take advantage of, because that's really, really good. So, Gina, break it down for us.
The 2 points that I learned from last week's meeting that I think were absolutely fantastic, actually 3, is number 1, you still need to start with a lender. This GURA program is in conjunction with you qualifying at a bank. And what they do is they actually give you grant money to pay down your original loan, that loan that you're going to get from the bank. So that was one. The second one, which I didn't even know, was that you can also use it to build. So for people out there who own their own land, you can use this program to build. Again, you still need to start with a lender. And the third one, I forgot the third one while I was speaking, but pretty much I like the flexibility of this program. I really, really thought it was, I was like, wow, this really can help the community.
Liz, there's an important distinction right there, because it's not that money, as we really tried to emphasize, and Gina just touched on it. It's not just buying a house. It's also being able to like build from the ground up. So like exactly the house that you want to your specs, right?
Yes, that's right. And there's so many families here that have land. Families have given them land. But to build, of course, there's a factor with the rise in construction costs. But this program offers the advantage of subsidizing part of that loan. As Gina puts it, they still have to go through. They do have income requirements. And as long as you meet those particular guidelines, I think it'll behoove everyone to who are looking to build or to buy a home to at least look into the program, ask the questions, and then see what is possible for them. And there, as you know, there are different ways to build. So we have some people who do self-construction. I don't recommend that unless you're familiar with the construction process. Gina has gone through that process, but she's helped in building many homes over the years, and so have I. I've had to build from scratch for a client in Talafofo once, and I think the key there is you have to really monitor every aspect of the building process. You could be doing it, but you need a construction manager. So I don't really recommend you do it unless you have the experience or have someone you trust that could oversee the construction process. And, you know, I was talking to one developer the other day, and he has a contractor's license, and he would hire individuals to come and build, and they actually factor in the labor costs. So these individuals will go in and build, but he would provide the materials and the running around to buy the materials and get it delivered to the site. So again, there are so many moving parts that you better know what you're doing, or else it'll be an issue. Now, Gina and I have to point out, we have had experience that if you're going to do this, you're going to have to get a valid contractor, because we've had people who pay up front and then the contractor disappears, didn't complete the project, and it became an issue. So.
You know, the other factor is you might be limited because this is GURA funds with federal money behind it. I don't know if self-construction is a viable option for people. And it's something we could certainly reach out to GURA and ask if they would allow you to build a home on your land as with the self-construction license. I'm not sure. We didn't ask about that during our training last Wednesday, but it is something we could look into.
And this license, I'm assuming, Gina, that's per project, right? You can't just get like a self-construction license and then, build, for the next 20 years at 20 different locations, right? It's a per project.
Construction is limited to 1 property per person. So like if I get a self-construction license for my lot today, next year I can't do another self-construction permit for another property on another lot that I own.
Right.
It's limited. because it's, the government allows it just for the purpose of you helping yourself, trying to reduce cost. And yes, I've done it, but I can tell you, I don't believe I saved any costs at all. And not only that, but I was forced by the government to go get a pretend license. I call it pretend because I had to go to Contractors License Board and get a license that said I was the contractor. And I told them flat out, I don't know anything about construction. But they forced me to pay $450 to get a piece of paper that said I was the contractor, which made no sense to me. So that is why they call it self-construction.
Gina, you strike me
become
as
a
someone
contractor.
who's poured cement a couple times in her day. You get directly involved. You get your hands dirty.
Uh, Only as far as asking my grandkids which one of them wants to put their print on it.
And on it.
That's
Oh,
about it.
that's right.
But anyway, yeah, I honestly, my gut tells me that because this is federal money, self-construction might not even be a discussion that you can even have with GURA, but you can hire a contractor, of course, because that was the scenario they gave us. They had somebody who owned land and was going to build, and they had a buyer that they put together. And so, and you can build on your own lot. So for those of you who are interested in doing that, call us and we'll explain what you need to do, step 1, 2, and 3. But the thing I like about doing construction is that you could base it on your budget. When you're looking at houses in the open market, you're basing it on what is for sale and what the asking price is. But if I go to a lender and the lender tells me we can let you borrow 350,000 and I already own the land, then I can work my numbers backwards and figure out how much of a home I could build. And that's where construction becomes a really viable option for you.
And again, you get the home that literally you want. Like if you want a certain number of rooms, if you want a certain you want the arrangement of them to be like that. I mean, like Gina said, it is a much more drawn out process, and there are a lot more steps and a lot more logistical things that you have to keep tabs on and everything like that. But you do really get the project that you want. And Liz, this is also interesting because again, I think kind of this program with all due respect to our friends at Gura, it's called the First Time Home Buyers Program, but you still qualify if you have not owned a home. I'm reading from the document right now that outlines it. If you have not owned a home for the last 3 years.
Years, that's correct. If you have not owned a home for the last 3 years, you could qualify for this program. As Gina puts it, in terms of pre-qualifying, you'd have to go to the bank, find out what you qualify for, because the program would work in tandem with the bank. And I think looking at what that budget would be that you would qualify for, finding a contractor to see what it's going to cost per square foot, and then work it backwards to see, okay, what can I afford? Can I afford a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom? Even with that budget, it's good to always get started. I remember years ago, the homes at one time were like, the standard homes were like 900 square feet. Then that improved to 1,200 square feet. So now I think 13, 14, and 1,500 seem to be the standard size homes now, because in those days, as the family grew, they would build an extension and they would keep going around the structure to expand to accommodate their larger families. So now, usually, like my son at one time when he was going to build, he was only going to build a 2-bedroom. But I say for the size of the lot and the budget, you might as well do a 3-bedroom, because when it appraises, the value is more for the size of the home.
That's a good point. Yeah, you actually do get to future-proof your investment if you want to think about it that way by, maximizing the size of the property.
That's right. That's right. And usually the bank will want to know, they will appraise the property. The good part is if you have equity, much more in comparison to a 2-bedroom. If you had a 3, your equity is much greater. And then later, if you refinance, you get a better return to refinance the property at a later time if you want it to do more work.
There you go. Okay, so Gina, now that you and your colleagues there at RE/MAX have been educated and enlightened, let's call it like that. We came to Gura program Nirvana, right? What do you what responsibilities now lie in your shoulders to get this word out to prospective clients or people that might want to get involved with this, or just people like me that have a cajillion questions?
Well, I've already had somebody text me about the process. I sent him the paperwork so they could take a look at it. But immediately after that meeting, honestly, we're so excited. We started talking to contractors. I know Liz is talking to people she knows about the possibility. If you're a contractor and you already own land, why not target affordable housing? When we say affordable housing, we're talking about 450 and below, which doesn't sound low, but in this market, it's probably the lowest we're going to be able to get people to commit to, right? Because you know, these contractors, these developers, the thing we have to keep in mind is if they're going to build, number one, if they already own the land, they already bought it, there's a price tag on that already. So if they paid too much for the land, they certainly can't afford to offer affordable housing. I mean, Gura even told us they can't afford to do it anymore either because the cost has gone up so high that they actually, Gura presented that they can't afford to build anymore. The cost of construction, which is beyond their control, has gone up so much that they can't afford to do it. But so now we're, you know, Liz and myself and maybe others in our office, we're reaching out to developers we know who have land and maybe the cost for them, they already own the land, maybe the value or what they paid for it is low enough so that we might be able to connect them with Gura. You know, I asked and I know I've already gotten 2 people tell me, yes, you know what? The property I already own, if I have to build in that 450 range, I actually think I could do it. I'm not going to make the profit I wanted to make, but I'll make a profit. And so if I'm going to make something, and he's, you know, a couple of them said, I'm willing to help out because honestly, they could just wait for the market to go up, which it will. Anything that comes down goes up at some point. But he said, you know, Gina, I'm willing to help out. Yeah, I'm interested in doing this. And so I'm meeting with 2 people this week that already have land or are interested in building on your land at a more reasonable price range. So yes, if you're out there, you own land and you want to get started, please call us. We'll set up an appointment. And then I have some people that are actually going to build on their own land. And, you know, we're promoting the idea that they keep it reasonable and affordable.
Very nice. And Liz, just to close, of course, this being a program that's offered by the local government, there are not an unlimited number of seats, and I wish we could do this for every single person that does qualify and ultimately does apply. But you know, it's a finite amount of money. So if you do qualify and if you are interested about acquiring and building a home like with this, we really recommend you jump on this.
Yes, that's right. It's limited funding, it's federally funded. They have a particular budget. Once they exceed that, then the program will end at that point until they receive additional funds. I mean, it's like for those who want additional assistance, there is the CAHAT funds, which they normally provide for your closing costs, which is interest free. And they're part of this program with Gura. There's the funds that they provide is also part of that is interest free for a certain number of years. So I think it's a great program. People should take advantage of it. But again, bear in mind, it is subject to the income limitation. There are requirements that you have to meet in order to qualify. But at
And
least it's
hopefully,
good information.
yeah, and hopefully this seems like, you know, with Guam, as we've been talking about on this show now, with Guam having a inventory problem and a lack of supply, this is giving you like a little bit more options if you want to go your own route and you want to have the home of your dreams that literally is in your head. You can make this a reality.
That's right. Gina and I have been talking to the legislators also about what can the government do to subsidize or give incentives to contractors to help spur different programs for construction. So if there are abilities, you know, possibilities for the government to give incentives to have them build homes and then get a tax benefit, or the government help with part of the infrastructure costs, that'll definitely kickstart movement to help our housing shortage.
There we go. Hey, and you know what? We always answer all your emails. We see your comments on YouTube, everybody. So if you have experiences with applying for this Gura First Time Home Owners Program, if you have, good and bad, we want to hear all of it. So please leave us a comment, and we'd love to hear like the feedback about how these segments are benefiting you, hopefully in one way or the other. So, ladies, thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Jason.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.